Hey everybody, I hope you're doing all really well. Just a quick update. I'm in the process of making a small oilstone box just to get back to trying to shoot a little make video just before I get into things. Flattened off a stone there, and yeah, I'm progressing that, so hopefully I'll get a simple little build up for you soon. But just as a quick chat, I just wanted to have a little chat about workbenches, which is something we all use. I'll probably show you what I fabricated at some point just to give you an impression of what can be done. But I thought I'd have a little bit of a chat about the language we quite often use around benches, and I think it's interesting marketing really. I didn't realise that the benches that I'd used or been around when I was younger were lost. It was it's just news to me, or they were forgotten about. Yeah, it's curious. I'm really positive with the whole like revival in interest of traditional woodworking craft. I think that's absolutely brilliant, and I know why headlines put in videos or on books such as like history's forgotten workbench exist, because it draws you in, makes you interested. It's absolutely fine. But for the record, they're not lost and they're not forgotten. They're just new to you when you find them. That's the long and short of it. The workbenches I used at college, when I used to do my block release there, they were the joiner style benches, which you can see in this book here. Now you can see that this is a pretty typical example of what I would see, and there's a joinery shop right opposite our joinery workshop who still use these benches. We don't use them, but they do, and they love them. There's no problem at all. You know, legs, mortise and tenon together, and this is always quite interesting. A lot of people don't understand that why you've just got a narrower board here that's maybe just 300mm wide, a foot wide. I did a bit of research with that. I found that really that's kind of the main area you do most of your work if you're a joiner. If you're assembling things where you've got lots of wide panels, it might be more advantageous to have a completely flat area. But it wasn't lost. When I was at college, I used those, and that was in the 1990s, and they're still there now, and they're used all over the country. They weren't forgotten about. That just isn't the case. They were never a bench, to my understanding, which was constructed with the point of view that you would knock them together on a building site and then throw them away. I'm not saying that didn't happen. I'm sure if you were building a large house, maybe somewhere it would be useful to have a bench. That makes perfect sense. But yeah, I don't think it's always the case. And in this book here, you can see one with a completely flat top on it, with a late Victorian Edwardian man with his nice curly moustache on the go. Again, always tends to be quick release vices on these, just because quick release vices tend to be better than wooden vices. And there's so many quick release vices secondhand, you can get good ones for not much money. But yeah, it's odd. If you want to talk about a bench now, you've got to, of that style, you've got to call it an English joiner's bench, and for me it's just, I've always known it more as a workbench, but I'm happy to use that language to describe it. Another one is you've got to call it a Nicholson, because it appeared in a book by Peter Nicholson. I haven't seen many people do an actual Nicholson replica. People usually tweak it a little bit to say it's inspired by. So yeah, and I've got to say I've got a bit of jealousy here actually. Our friends in America have access to timber. It's cheap and readily available compared to what we've got. It's amazing. You can watch a video and see, it's like, wow, they've got this, it's just this timber they can go and pick up in North America, and you know, it's like 10 or 12 inches wide. It's like you can't get that in the UK. You can get European redwood and you can get it planed up properly, but most of the stuff that they're using, you'd be using here for like floor joist. And even floor joists now are changing to where you've got like sterling board cores and then just like a 2x2 top and bottom. So you don't come across it very much. I've been looking at recently the possibility of doing a workbench video, and I've seen situations where people have stuck together lots of studs, like whitewood studs, which is, again, in this country they're expensive because everything's imported here. We don't grow much, you know. They're just it isn't. You do see plantations, but it's mainly used for probably fence posts and, I don't know, maybe chipping for biomass or making MDF and particle boards and whatever else. But yeah, we don't get it. The cheapest one for me is European redwood, and I looked into it recently, and to buy the timber to make a kind of joiner's bench that I would probably think of, or just a workbench like this, a sort of 2 meters long, you'd be looking at about, I think it was nearly 200 quid just for the wood. And then if you asked a third party like the timber merchant to plane it up for you, you got maybe an extra 75 quid. It was actually cheaper to buy enough timber to make a more French or more older style workbench, where you've just got like that solid mass top where the legs are just tenoned into the top of it. So yeah, I'm so jealous of you guys out in the States. You can get access to some great stuff to just build basic workbenches nice and quick. Here it's, you know, I wouldn't want to recommend anybody trying to make a workbench by edge joining studs together, because when I first started work, stud work always used to be just rough sawn material, and now we've moved over to what's called CLS. I've always known that to be called Canadian lumber section, where all the edges are eased. And it's like, well, you've got to remove that if you want a nice flat surface. And it's like the thought of planing all of that off of a load of studs is so depressing. And even the studs themselves in whitewood, it's quick grown, nasty tangly knots. Yeah, horrid. But yeah, it's not exactly a gripe, but I do find it a little bit amusing that everybody's like, well, hey, history's forgotten workbench. It's like, well, when did that happen? When was it forgotten? I think you could say, I don't know, what things were, what do you get that's forgotten? Maybe something that's buried or lost, you know, something that's actually lost. I might lose my wallet. That can be lost. Yeah, but there's usually someone still doing it somewhere. I saw a great documentary a while ago. I can't remember what on earth it was called, but these people were traveling through Eastern Europe, and they went to some very remote communities, in rural areas. And I'd love to have spent some time there, because they had some really simple workshops. And I think one of the things we've all got used to today is that there's these simple objects like workbenches and simple provincial or vernacular pieces, and they've been turned into fine woodworking items, which is fine, you know, there's no problem with that. But most of it, if you go online and look on eBay or various other places for second-hand workbenches, certainly in the UK, they're just things that were knocked up. I mean, these books will quite often show the archetype of it would look something similar to this, but if you're running a commercial workshop, you're not going to be stressing about exact dimensions. You just see what's hanging about and you just get on with it. In a first workshop that I worked in, it wasn't exactly like this workbench, but we had a setup where there was against a wall that was coming up here, you had this kind of arrangement where it was a wide top and a drop down, and then tool racks, and then some corrugated perspex windows. And then in front of these benches, most of the work happened, which was an 8x4 sheet on like a simple stud-work construction, which worked really well. And it's kind of the same system we still use today. So yeah, again, just a video to catch up. I think quite often find it quite nice to talk about these things, because I don't know, I'm not sure many people out there enjoy listening to the kind of drivel. Probably putting this stuff up on YouTube is the only place you're going to get it. But yeah, I don't feel that any of it was lost or forgotten. I think that what's happened is that new people have got involved, got interested by it, and I think that's fantastic. And yeah, maybe next time once I've got my sharpening stone box done, I'll show you what my workbench looks like and talk about its unique features. If you're interested in seeing that, stick a comment below and I'll see what I can sort out for you. All right, cheerio.